have cat yellow or permanent yellow because they're so shiny and warm. Sometimes aureoline is fine too, but I have cat yellow in my palette, so I use that one. And I add a drop of water because I mentioned I don't want to wet the paper. I want to use wet brush. It's so runny. So I diluted my brush. The size of brush, it totally depends on you. It's better not really small, not really big. And I choose this one in focal point, which is on center. I start with this one, and I saw how I can place my flower. So I start with this one. My paint is so watery, water-based, and I diluted my brush into this water-based flower colors. And then start from here. The shape of my flower, I try to follow similar and cover whole my paper with this drawing. Actually, I do drawing by brush, not by pencil or pen, because watercolor is should be transparent. I prefer to do everything by. And then I see this one. It's like a circle shape, but there is nice petals spread everywhere. And it's a big circle shape here on this side of my paper. But I cannot see all the part because half of it is not visible for me. Again, add a drop of water in your paint. Make sure your paint should be really wet. Then start, because the finishing part should be here. It's not connect to the bottom part of my page. So I add here. I use whole my brush because we have two things in working with the brush. This is the tip of the brush, and whole the brush is the belly of the brush or whole this part. You can lay down your brush on your paper and use whole the brush. So I lay down my brush. And try to draw the petals. Keep some space white in between. But in this painting, we still need the edges. You see here, here, we see the edges. That it's so visible for us. Because of that, I use a wet brush on dry paper. And this blossom, I just see the red part is here. I imagine under it should be yellow because it's better to work as a layers. So for orange color that we need to add on top of the yellow, it can be orange if you have it like this. I have the orange color like that. If you don't have any orange color, doesn't matter. Yellow and red give you orange. So you can mix your yellow with a little red and you can reach the orange color So I use orange and start with this one on center. If you see on top, it's completely yellow. So I keep that yellow, just a bit, come down, start from here and add orange color on this part. And then this is another layer, so it's like second layers. For second layer, we are not really runny like the first layer. It's still wet, but it's not runny. Each layer you move on should be use less water in your watercolor. And then I try to make it like that. Same as the first layer, you can use hold the brush, or for details, tip of the brush. You can put your brush like that and then leave it like this to spread some part like that. Even if you are not happy with this, because there is a edges create between this yellow and orange, I clean my brush. I use my napkin to reduce the amount of water. And then from yellow, come into my orange and make these two colors disappear into each other or blend into each other. Again, clean your brush, dilute it into water, and then reduce the amount of water from your brush, because I want to get rid of these edges that I have. From yellow, you can come into orange and reduce this edges in between. Again, wash your brush like this. Go and back and make it more fade into each other. But anytime you wash your brush with water, you should reduce the amount of water on your brush with the napkin. And then from yellow, which is dry, move on into orange and disappear the edges. Is darker than the rest because this is the connection part between the flower and the stem, and most of the time is darker. So the same technique happened for the rest. Flower has details inside. It's just a blacky color here and there. Please not pay attention to the white. I will let you know how you can make that. Just focus on this black color. Actually, I don't use a lot black in my watercolor painting. If I need the darkness, I use gray, Payne's gray. If not, I can make something dark, similar black, with blue, brown, and alizarin crimson. So I need a smaller brush for the details, and it's better to be pointy brush. So I focus on my small brush. I have gray, so if you have Payne's gray, you can use that. If not, we mix some dark color together. Actually blue, if you have ultramarine blue or cobalt blue. Let me bring it here. I use ultramarine blue. If you have cobalt, that's good too, but ultramarine is a little darker than cobalt. I bring it here, clean my brush, dark brown. If you have Van Dyke, if you have burnt umber, both are so good. Add into your blue color. So it's so dark, just a little bit alizarin crimson or permanent rose. I know there is some part a little bit white. We can make it later because we have different technique to make the white color on top of our painting in watercolor. I will let you know. Just with the tip of your brush, make some darkness and center your flower. I prefer to mix my blue with brown to reach the darkness, especially for flower, not to go through gray or black. And then for the other one, is a little bit liney here. A little darkness, you can use hold the brush. Because some part it's more liney, it's not circly shape. But when it goes up, you can use some circle on top with your tip of brush. And please keep the orange color in between, not cover everything. And then the other. For the other, if you see, it's not really dark on top. It's more like a reddish brown. The darkness on here, on top is not really dark like this too. So I finished this center by this dark color by mixing my brown and blue. I finished the center first. But I need the reddish brown to come for the top. So I have already this color ready. It's dark color. I just need to add warm red into that. And you see what happened? It moved to reddish brown. So I premix my dark brown. For the top part of details in the third flower, I want to have a little warmer tone. So I add this red into that to make it lighter for this one. And then I will continue for the top with this warm browny color. And add some details on top. And we have just this tree to have the details. The other things that we need to finish is the stem. The stem has light and dark green color. So we need two values for our stem, which is light and dark green. I already used the small brush for this part. So if you have a green color, would be fine to use your green. If not, you can mix yellow with blue. These are primary color. yellow and blue give you green color. But if you have any green, like Viridian green, Hooker green, sap green, all of them are so good to use. It depends. My brush, I add some details around. Something like that. Let me bring it near camera. I mean this tiny line for my stem. Just with the tip, you can a little bit bring it out. Like this, to add some details for your stem. Please not make all the stem dark, just a tiny bit part. And it happens with just lots of water into your paint. So I make again orange and red color. I add lots of water into that. This is my orange color. And I go with the red as well. And this is my red. I add lots of drop of water into that to have a water base. And then bigger brush, you can use a small and big brush both. I use the big one first. Take another brush like this and spread your dot everywhere. If you add more water, it can be more watery. And even you can add, you can clean your brush a little bit water-based. You can work with your dot that you spread and play with it to move it around everywhere. It depends how much water your brush has. If you add more watery, it can be moved more like that.